You know who my next guest is. He's been a regular on this show. Of course, I'm talking about Anthony Lionheart Smith, who's going to be headlining UFC Moncton coming up here October 27th against Volkan Oezdemir. Anthony, what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm good, man. Just out here in Denver, finishing up training camp and enjoying the weather.
And the birds are chirping, man. It's that time of year. All things are all smiles. Of course, you got another main event fight here. Just thoughts when you found out you got this fight, another main event. The UFC's really been behind you, especially since you made that move to 205.
I was excited. I was excited that I got another main event. I think that means the UFC was happy with how I handled the last one. I was happy with the matchup. I really think that this is a good matchup for me. Obviously, he's number 2 in the world, so it doesn't really matter how I feel about the matchup. It's the number 2 guy in the world, and that's where I want to be. So I was grateful for the matchup, and just happy to be in another position to keep moving up the ladder.
And I know you went out to Moncton a few weeks ago, got to check out the city, do some media and all that. How was that, getting to go over there? Because the Maritimes are pretty cool. I've been out there myself a few times.
Man, I really enjoyed it. I'm just a small Nebraska boy, so I really enjoy traveling and getting to kind of see different areas of the world. And Moncton was so cool. It's not necessarily really big, but it's the people there were really cool. The food was good. They got this really cool river. It's called the Chocolate River, and it has like every 12 hours, it like has this huge wave that rushes down the river and people surf it. It's called the Tidal Bore. And it was cool, man. The arena's brand new. When I was in there checking it out, it hadn't even been used yet. So, it'd be cool. It'd be really fun to break in a new arena for the fans and be the first event there.
So let's talk about the matchup. Obviously, Volkan has looked good in his UFC career, just has that, the one loss to Cormier there. But how do you feel like you match up against him here?
I think I match up well. I think that I'm the more technical and more diverse striker. He's obviously got power in his hands. I mean, we've all seen him putting people down in the UFC. We haven't really seen much out of him though. We don't really know where his ground game really is. Obviously, Cormier is a dominant wrestler over most people that he's going to go against, and you're going to have a hard time getting back up once he puts you down. So I think that Cormier definitely exposed a problem in Volkan's game. I mean, he's obviously isn't the most dominant wrestler or grappler. But I think you can probably say the same thing about me. I'm relatively unknown as far as what I bring to the table to the division, because both of us are relatively strikers. We've been, at least that's how our matchups have been going. Most of our fights have been stand-up battles. So I think this is an opportunity to see who's really the more diverse fighter, like who really has the better rounded skill set, and I really believe it's me.
And if you just look at this fight on paper as well, as far as experience, I mean, you definitely have that, in spades heading into this matchup. He's only got 17 fights. You've got, you got 30 wins, 13 losses. Do you feel like that will play a role in this fight at all?
I do. Volkan, the one issue I do have with Volkan as far as him as a person is he's got this clouded sense of he's going to show me something that I haven't seen before. I mean, I've been in there with guys that are much better than he is at a lot more things that he's good at. So, there's nothing he's going to show me that I haven't seen, and he's not going to put me in a position that I haven't already been in, and he's not going to mentally take me to a place that I haven't lived in before. So I just don't think that you can say the same thing about Volkan. He's relatively green. You know what I mean? As far as his matchups in the UFC, he's caught some people with some big shots and he's put people down, and I'll give him all the credit in the world for that. But he hasn't gone in there and grinded out tough fights when things aren't going the right way and come on the other side of it with the W. He hasn't had to do that. And the one time that he was put in a lot of bad positions, he broke and he gave up, and he looked really bad doing it. I think that that's one thing that you're not going to have to worry about when you see me fight. You're never going to have to worry about Anthony Smith giving up or breaking. That's just nothing anyone ever has to worry about. And I think that that's where the difference is going to be. It's going to be where the mindset's at. I think that my mindset is bulletproof, and I just don't think you can say the same thing for Volkan.
Have you kept, as far as training camp and preparation, things primarily the same? We know you're in Colorado training at Factory X. How long have you had your camp out there for?
I've been here 3 weeks already. But and I'm always training, even when I'm home. So everything's pretty much the same. You know, we brought in a couple guys that just have connections with the team, and one guy that, you know, obviously I have the connection with Stipe. So I brought one of Stipe's training partners, and he was phenomenal. It was great to have him out here. But other than that, man, it's all the same. Same coaches, same training partners, same schedule, same system. You know, I don't change anything for anybody. You know, if something needs changed, it's because of something that I need to change. Just I don't want to sound, you know, Volkan's kind of been saying, well, this is just another fight. It's just another win. Like, let's be real here. We both know how serious this is, and we both know the stuff that comes along with this. But I approach this fight the same way I approach any other fight. I look at where he's good. I look at where he's bad. We attack the problems that he brings to the table and go from there.
And what about training partners? You mentioned Stipe's training partner. Who did you get to work with?
Well, as always, man, I'm always here with Chris and Brian Camozzi, with Ian Heinich. Stroop is always a tough dude in there, man. Damn, that guy's tough. But one of Stipe's got a guy out at his camp. His name is Lexi. His first name's Alexa. He's 22 years old. I think he's 5-0. He's a 205 pounder.
I've heard about this kid. He's supposed to be, he was someone that came up on my radar when I was looking up the prospect rankings. This kid's kind of an unknown, but I know that he does train with Stipe. That's interesting.
Yeah, you got to talk to him, man. This kid's a killer. Man, he's a killer. He's good. He's good, man. He's you know, he's obviously green. You know, he's young. He doesn't have a whole lot of fights. And I think that he's being brought along the right way. You know, man, he's good. I'm telling you guys right now, like, just look out for this kid, because he's gonna make waves and do damage when he makes it. But so I brought him out for a week, and honestly, I'll probably bring him back. Maybe I might bring him back next week or the week after. It'd be nice to finish out camp with another hard push from him. Obviously, he's in there with Stipe day in, day out. So, I mean, if that tells anybody how tough this kid is. So I'll probably try to bring him back. And then in my regular training partners, I think I'm going to try to get some work in with Curtis Blades, just for another big body to have, you know, pushing me around and really grinding on me.
That doesn't hurt. He's obviously headlining that Beijing card against Ngannou in the rematch, so nice having that. How about the weight cut, 205, a way better cut for you these days? Has that process started already?
No, man, there really isn't really much of a process. I'm waking up at 2:15.
Oh, excellent. That's great. That must be so nice. You don't even have to worry about it. It's
incredible, man. I mean, the only reason I check my weight is because the scale just happens to be there, but you know, so I just step on it. But it's nice not having to worry about it. You know, probably the last week before I go to Moncton, we'll tweak a couple things as far as just the amount that I'm intaking. Because honestly, I've actually upped my intake because my weight was coming down a little too fast. So I'm actually doubling my portions and trying to stay at 215, which is so incredible to me that I had I couldn't get to 205 naturally when I was cutting to 185. I was killing myself to get to 205. Now I'm stuffing myself to try to stay above it. You know, it's just crazy how your endocrine system and what your stress levels really do to how your body works. So it's been awesome, man, and I feel stronger than ever. You know, I'm pushing my strength and conditioning. My endurance is through the roof already, and I'm fast. I'm moving well. Things are. I couldn't be any happier. I really couldn't.
And how do you see this fight unfolding on October 27th?
You know, I don't know. It really depends on Volkan. I think that I truly believe that I beat him anywhere he wants to go, and I don't think that it's any secret anymore that I don't really care where that is. I think he's going to come out probably pretty emotional at the beginning, because I don't think that he knows how to fight any other way. So I think he's going to be a bear for the first round. You know, I think I'm going to spend the first round taking some heat off of him a little bit, because that's just the way that he fights. And, you know, there's always the possibility that I catch him in one of those exchanges at the beginning, but I would rather that didn't happen. I would rather get him settled into the fight so we can really see who Volkan really is. It's really easy to look at his highlights and see him knocking out guys in the first round, you know, in just a few minutes time between three guys. You know, I mean, what has he knocked out 3 guys in just a couple minutes? I'd really like to get him settled in and instead of him just exploding and going off, let's just get past that shit and let's really see who he is. I want him to settle in, and I want to stand in front of him and let's really play this game and let's see who the better fighter is. And you've already proven that you can knock people out quickly. Now let's prove that you can dominate somebody over a long period of time. And I think that's time. I think that's what it's time for now. I think it's time to see if that Cormier fight was a fluke or if that's who Volkan really is once he can't get somebody out of there. And that's what I want to find out. I'm not here to play whose dick is bigger with Volkan. You know what I mean? I think that I'm just as powerful, if not more powerful than he is. I got more knockouts than he has fights total. So, I don't have anything to prove. But I want to find out who Volkan really is, and that's my whole goal.
Reaction, obviously, to Jon Jones coming back. As a fellow light heavyweight fighter, are you excited? Are you like, hey, this is unfair, he should still be suspended? What are your thoughts on the whole thing?
I want to be really careful so that I don't come off sounding the wrong way. It's a double-edged sword. Of course, as a competitor and as an athlete, I want to be the guy that takes out Jon Jones. So we need Jon Jones back for that to happen. I want to compete against Jon Jones. I want to be that guy standing across from him. I really do. But I don't necessarily think that this situation is necessarily fair. If you take Jon Jones' name out of it and insert Anthony Smith, what does this situation look like? You know what I mean? He's definitely being treated differently because of who he is. And I just don't think that's right. On the flip side of it, I'm glad he's back, but I'm not glad that he gets to get away with whatever he wants. I mean, the man has failed 3 drug tests. One of them we won't count because he wasn't supposed to be being tested for it. Okay, whatever. But he's failed 2. And he's eligible to fight at the end of next month. How is that possible? I see Daniel Cormier out there telling USADA, don't call him, don't come to my house. I feel the exact same way. Don't fucking call me. Why don't come test me for what? So I can keep passing him? Think about it like this. The people that can afford and that are in the position to benefit from PEDs aren't your Anthony Smiths of the division. Even if I wanted to try to dope or use PEDs, I couldn't afford it even if I wanted to. And I couldn't afford the process and the people that it takes to get around the tests. So why are we spending all of our resources on bothering me all the time? We all know. Look at my record. Look, you can look all that shit up. Look how many times I've been tested. Never had a problem, right? I don't mess around with supplements. I don't mess around with any of that stuff. And I don't have any problems. But the people that can do that and are in a position to get away with that stuff are your Jon Joneses. So why are those the people that are getting that are getting treated differently? You know what I mean? And I don't. It's just so hard to say that he accidentally came into contact with PEDs twice. I just don't understand how that happens. And I also, don't necessarily understand the whole, quote unquote snitching thing that's going on. I think Malky kind of put his foot in his mouth on Ariel's show because then USADA comes back out and says, no, that's not the truth. Actually, he is telling on people, so it's I just don't get it, man. I don't understand it. There's nothing, at the end of the day, it's none of my business, I guess, so there's nothing I can do about it. I just try not to worry too much about other people, but at the end of the day, it does make you wonder, what the hell is USADA even doing? You're catching people. You caught Jon Jones 3 times now. He's still fighting. So what are we doing here? I feel like the UFC is just wasting their money. Whether USADA is here or not, I'm not doing PEDs, so it doesn't, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter to me, but I really am starting to feel like these fucking guys are just bothering me all the time for no reason. Yeah, I don't know. It's frustrating. It's frustrating. So I absolutely get where Daniel Cormier is coming from. I feel the exact same way. I've been saying the same thing that Daniel's been saying to every person, at the gym or a buddy that will be like, what do you think about that? And just tell USADA don't come to my house no more. What's the point? Because if the point is to keep the fighter safe and to catch people that are using PEDs, then that's not what we're doing. We're not doing that because we've just made it really clear that as long as you can afford the arbitration and to sit out that long, and you can afford the lawyers and you can afford the processes, and then maybe you have a couple people in your back pocket that you can snitch on to get you out of it, then it doesn't matter. So what are we doing here? Like, let's just get USADA out of here and let all them dudes juice until their fucking hearts explode, and I'll still end up at the top. So it doesn't matter.
Well said, Anthony. And again, thank you so much for the time. It's always good talking to you. A lot of good insight there. We're looking forward to this card, man. UFC Fight Night 138 going down in Moncton, October 27th. Just remind people where they can find you on social media. And I'm sure you got to plug Jim Walter, your great manager who manages some of the best in the game.
Yeah, man, you guys can find me. On my Twitter is @LionheartSmith. My Instagram is Anthony Smith UFC. We're always putting out lots of great content. And, got to thank Jim and all the people that support me. I just recently partnered with Hypnotic, so definitely go check out their gear, especially if you're a jiu-jitsu person. Their gis are incredible. Their rash guards fit great. The patterns are cool. They're always coming out with dope stuff. Modelo, Icon Meals, as always. I've been working with Icon for a long time. Metro PCS. Go check out Prime Society on Instagram. They have a lot of cool stuff, a lot of bags. If you guys know me, I'm a backpack guy, so they have a lot of cool backpacks. And Josh Kirscher. Josh Kirscher's the guy that makes all my suits. He's out of Chicago, so go check him out on Instagram too.